so much, Lenore. Let's have another round of applause for Lenore. All right, our next poet tonight is Dane Cervine. Dane read for us a few years ago. His books include Children of Obscura, The Mysterious Human, 16 Rivers Press, 9-Volt Nirvana from forPoetry Press, Deep Travel at Home in the Burning World, Saddle Road Press, and let's see, The Gateless, lots more. Earth is a Fickle Dancer, Main Street Rag, and The Gateless Gate, Polishing the Moon Sword from Saddle River Press. Dane's poems have won awards from Adrian Rich, Tony Hoagland, the Atlanta Review, Caesarea, and been nominated for multiple Pushcart Awards. His work appears in The Sun, the Hudson Review, Tri-Quarterly, Poetry Flash, Catamaran, Miramar, Rattle, Sycamore Review, Pedestal Magazine, among others. Dane lives in Santa Cruz, and he has a website, danecervine.com. Please welcome Dane.
It's really a delight to be here. My wife and I came up from Santa Cruz and stayed at the little Metro Hotel over there. Very French, very fun. Just a delight to be here. I wanted to say this book, a local Santa Cruz artist did the painting. And the theme of it, you wonder what the hell that language is about, Children of Obscura. It's all these weird scientific and cosmological facts about the body. It's all science and cosmos. They're little prose poems. And they're in the back, in the notes section, is a lovely description from Lawrence Fixell that Gerald Fleming, one of our other 16 Rivers poets, did a large amalgam of his work. And he talks about the parable or prose poem in a modern idiom that you might find interesting. So I have three heads. I'm a therapist, I'm a writer, and I'm a meditator. So put those three hats on and maybe you'll listen with three ears to some of what follows. If there's a theme here, it's awe, A-W-E. And one of the things I've read from some of these scientific writers is it doesn't matter if you are a divine designer or a complete random materialist. Who cares? What you should care about is awe, that it's miraculously weird. And so I tried to pick out a bunch of wacky and weird body things, anthropological things, history things. So, the one quote I'll read from the preface that I love is the astronomer, Edward Harrison, says, hydrogen, given enough time, turns into people. I just love that. And I say, we, the children of this brief moment on an enigmatic globe with a random cosmic address, are perhaps flowering into something the universe wanted more than anything. And this anthropomorphic language itself is a product of this flowering, this arrogance and tenderness of language. So here's the selections for this time. The first section is divided into sections. First one's what is a human being? And I'm going to start with blood. So this poem's called Miracles. My body just now made 1 million red blood cells. 7 octillion atoms mysteriously stay in the general shape of me, despite the flimsy border between self and world. Just as fabulous are my lungs, whose airways would travel from coast to coast if stretched. The double helix of DNA, unraveled, would extend beyond Pluto. Meanwhile, there's much to complain about. My back hurts, and why didn't God make better knees? Besides, there's nothing on television, and tomorrow's going to look much the same as today. When the zebrafish damages its heart, it grows new tissue. This would have helped me too, yet my atoms do gravitate toward my wife's luminous body, or on philosophical days are lost in Pluto's orbit. There's a fine line between complaint and prayer. 1 million red blood cells every minute carry both down ventricle and capillary. It's a miracle. I don't think it a miracle at all. Now that last line in the best Zen fashion has two opposite meanings to it. So you get to chew on that for a little while. How about the heart of the matter? I've got a lot about body parts in here, but I was gonna, oh no. Let's do this one, choreography. It's one of my favorites.
Come to the mic.
Yeah. Choreography. Staring at my hand, I imagine its 29 bones, 17 muscles, 18 more in the forearm to control it, the 2 main arteries, 3 major nerves plus 45 others, and 123 ligaments. To write these words, to scratch my eyebrow, uproot weeds, love my wife, not pull a trigger, takes as much delicacy and precision as the cosmos choreographing its orbits. Proof enough, the old philosophers thought, of divine design. For me, it's enough to feel the 237 dancers of my hand intertwine with yours flawlessly. The next section is all about animals and weird creatures. And I haven't read this one yet from the book. I was telling Barbara earlier, I was in the mood to be slightly morose about the human species this weekend. So there are poems in here that are a little darker. Not this one per se, but it's called Beautiful Animals, which means us too. Komodo dragons rattle tails, inflate their throats. Crocodiles bully their competitors underwater, roaring, lunging, biting. A toothless, brightly colored frog intimidates intruders with vigorous push-ups. Skinks sometimes ignore the ritual of turning their heads bright red as a bluff and simply tear into each other on sight. When hermit crabs meet, they stroke one another with their antennae, the smaller promptly submitting to the larger. Stalk-eyed flies do the same, the more dominant one having more widely separated eyes. There's only one silverback ape on the hill. This is where we begin, not among seraphim, but as gorgeous animals. The dance of Kali, of wild hair and skulls, where the better angels of our nature lick the letters of evolve as though they were blood, a sweetness, a strange food. Since I offer a lot of, poetic explanations in this book about the mystery of the universe, I thought I'd read this poem called Explanations. Even the explainable is so odd as to elicit wonder. Sweat glands, for instance. Most four-legged animals have none. Cool by panting. Chimpanzees have half the pores that we do. It was only by losing most of our body hair, evolving the ability to sweat up a storm, that our temperature-sensitive brains could grow so large. all because we became a better air conditioner. The mystery is not how, but why. Brandishing 3 pounds of folded gray matter the way we do becomes more enigmatic with each explanation. If the pores in us grow till we're mainly holes, maybe the universe will whirl through like a storm, and then we'll know. Or not. I hope it stays a mystery. I realized today when I was sitting at the French Hotel, it's like, God, if there was no more mystery, if it all was explainable, it'd be like a bad Netflix series. You're at the end, you turn it off. You know, it's just like we need mystery, I think, to keep finding out what we are. All right, how about, I'm going to skip to, there's a section called Secrets of the Matrix in the book. It's a similarly, there's some weirdly happy stuff in here, but I'm going to do another, what I consider a darker one. I'm a therapist, so I like Carl Jung and the deep psyche, so listen to this with that in mind. It's called The Real Story. Did anybody read the Overstory novel? If you haven't, get it, read it. I do a slight reference to it here. The Real Story begins with a quote from the book. If only your mind were a slightly greener thing, we drowned you in meaning, says the forest narrator in Overstory. Underground, tree roots entangle in gossamer lattice, a wood-wide web. In the Blue Mountains of Oregon, the honey fungus Armillaria solidipes grows 4 square miles and is 8,000 years old. What it means to be alive, to be whole or singular, nature leaves such categories in ruin. Fungi were the first to return to Hiroshima's blast zone. Fine threads are lacing too up the broken walls of Chernobyl, thriving in radiation. The world a web of entanglements, teaching me to read its green meaning. I'll do 2 more. This is from a human beings supposedly, I think octopi and dolphins maybe, who knows, they're pretty damn smart. But we're ostensibly the first species that can literally put yourself in other species' worlds to some extent, and each other's. It's called Worlds Within Worlds. Carp and catfish have taste buds over most of their bodies, not just their mouths. Nerves from every bud converge on massive sensory lobes in their brains, organs unknown in other animals. What is the world to them? Magnetotactic bacteria contain tiny crystals of magnetite, an internal compass aligning them to the Earth's magnetic field. How does the planet feel to them? How is it that the human brain can imagine each world? Awareness itself a kind of taste bud, a dance of magnetism in the mind. Each thought a world inside a world of many thoughts. Who knew that in the tiny black hole singularity at the beginning, there were so many? That's one of the conceits of the cosmologists I'm reading these days, is whatever we are, whatever's sitting here, whatever we can imagine, is not fluff. It was there in the beginning, enfolded. But can't help but get chills at that, or freaked out. All right, last one. It's called The Question Bone. The Question Bone, and it begins with an epigraph from H.L. Mencken and the Minority Report. Penetrating so many secrets, we cease to believe in the unknowable. But there it sits, nevertheless, calmly licking its chops. Reality, the astrophysicist says, tenaciously resists easy answers. He wonders if the universe is more slippery than imagined, that like math, reality comes into being through the questions asked of it, and that once asked can never be unasked. The universe is nuanced enough, he says, to hold a peach, an hour, a swig of whiskey, along with black holes at the center of galaxies, and to create minuscule parts of itself to reflect on the whole catastrophe, as though it were the best ride in the cosmos. He ends the book with 3 questions. Who am I? What is this? Where from here? As though the universe, like a dog, has buried the asking itself deep in each bone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dane. Another round of applause for Dane today. So many fun places to go in the mind after hearing those poems. Wonderful. And our third and final reader tonight is Carolyn Miller. Carolyn's books of poetry are Random Universe, After Cocteau and Light Moving, 16 Rivers Press, and Route 66 and Its Sorrows from Terrapin Books, plus 4 limited edition press chapbooks from Protean Press and 1 from Shadow Line Press. Her poems have been featured on Poetry Daily, the Writer's Almanac, and American Life in Poetry, and have appeared in the Gettysburg Review, the Southern Review, PrairieSchooner, and the Georgia Review. Her honors include the James Boatwright Award for Poetry from Shenandoah and the Rainmaker Award from Zone 3. Carolyn lives in San Francisco and works as a freelance book editor. Please welcome Carolyn Miller.
Thank you, Sandra, and thanks to Aqua's Cafe. And so in honor of Aqua's Cafe, I would like to read the food portion of my book. This poem is modeled after a poem by Frank O'Hara. His poem is called Lines for Fortune Cookies, and mine is called New Lines for Fortune Cookies. Something wonderful will definitely happen to you very soon, if only you can figure out what it is. You may think that your life is working out just fine, but you will probably be wrong. Hang on to your delusions, for they are your most important possession. Keep on trying, because if you don't, you are in deep, serious trouble. You should have had the moo shu pork. Location, location, location. You have the soul of an artist, even though it may be hiding deep inside you. You will burn brightly in the fire of time. You have something green stuck in your teeth. If it seems like everything is going well, be very, very careful. If you know in your heart that the man across the table from you doesn't really love you, get up and leave at once.
Yes.
Fortune cookies are never really enough for dessert. My mother was a wonderful cook, and her pie crusts were fabulous. She did use Crisco, but so did everybody else, and they were really amazing pie crusts. This is called Sometimes Pie. The epigraph is, so life lets you have a sandwich and pie for your late night dessert. Eleanor Lerman from Starfish. Sometimes life lets you have pie and sometimes not. Once you may have searched for that shack up in the mountains called Pie in the Sky. But when you finally found it, it was closed. Sometimes you might be sitting at your desk working on someone else's bad manuscript and wishing that instead you were at Mission Pie at 25th and Mission, trying to decide between the banana cream and the rhubarb and asking yourself, why do I have to decide? One time, a friend might tell you about her pie night, and you might wonder why you've never been invited. And then you decide that one day you'll have your own pie night, and you will serve cobbler as a variation, baked in the handmade porcelain pie dish given to you by Nina, and rhubarb pie, the dough rolled out with your mother's old green-handled rolling pin. And for that matter, you will make her lemon meringue, the crust thin as an autumn leaf, the filling tart and sweet, the beaten whites rising up in glory, pale as moonlight in the valleys, golden on the peaks. My mother also made wonderful angel food cakes, and her angel food cakes were always taller than the other ladies' angel food cakes. This is called birthday cakes. They were almost always angel foods, made by my mother sitting on the gray vinyl seat of a kitchen chair, a bowl of egg whites in her lap. She beat them with her flat, coiled wire whisk until the clear mass grew into a cumulus cloud, then carefully folded in cake flour and sugar to make a thin, shiny batter and pour it into the big aluminum tube pan. When the cake emerged from the oven and was cooled upside down, then unmolded in its golden coat, she frosted it with pale pink powdered sugar icing and added pale pink birthday candles, one more for each year. It's true we were seduced once or twice by the new chiffon cake, which arrived like a bombshell in a Betty Crocker cookbook. But when I turned 16 and my mother asked what cake I wanted, I said, worldly now and a poet, angel food. Angel food with lavender 7-minute icing, egg whites boiled with sugar and beaten into air. And that is what I got. A cake tall and sculpted, tapered slightly like some symbolic offering, coated with glossy swirls of pale gray, pink, blue icing, like a drifting evening cloud, the kind that floats by just before the sun begins to sink below the dark horizon of one more precious day of your life. that I didn't flag the last poem that I wanted to read. I'm sorry. I hate it when poets do this. Oh, Ode to Bowls. I love bowls and their freight of emptiness. I love their shape like the sun and moon, and their hollows like the bed of the sea, and their shiny, rounded sides, and their edges thick as rope or thin as shell. I love their patience and their trusting openness, their strength and their round, delighted mouths. I love their heft and the way their flat bottoms rest soundly on the countertop. I love the generosity and goodwill of bowls, and I love to mix food in them, making pale batters and springy, yeasty doughs. I love to stack them on my shelves in graduated sizes, one nested in the other. And I love their slight cracks and chips and crazing, and their thin, uneven glazes, pooled and dripped, and the faint trace of human hands in their clay, and deep clinking sound they make when they touch each other. I love their sturdiness and their delicacy, their patterns of stripes and flowers, their colors deep and bright. And I love the way they seem to glow from within with expectation and an abiding faith that they will be filled. Thank you.
Thank you.